Hi there again, everybody. Welcome back to Prestige Auctions, All Things Auction, the podcast where me and Chris talk about anything auction related and anything else we can think of. I thought of something.
What?
Let's talk about the elections.
I was going to suggest.
Blue is the colour. And it wasn't Conservative. Did you see that coming?
Yeah.
I did, yeah. I did. Although I'm a little surprised that other areas of the country sort of bottled it a little bit up.
When you looked at social media,
I think that they did do it, and they did have a go, but maybe not quite enough. I mean, some of the things were quite big. I know everyone says to us every week, you should be talking about auctions. I know that, but all of the things that are going on in politics at the minute affecting small businesses like ours.
Well, the lead up to it was really, really poor.
Yeah,
sales seem to have dropped. Everybody were talking about the elections.
Yeah,
I think it affected. We called, me and Jenny in the antique centres, we've called it Awful April because we thought it was rubbish. It was, everything seemed to just drown.
I think the thing is, politics do that to people, don't they? Politics stop people. They make you. If you've got a pot of money there and you're thinking, well, I need to spend that money, I need to invest that money, I'll wait till the election. I'll wait till the. I mean, it wasn't a general election, but it was mayoral elections, and just before we go off politics, because we do want to talk about auctions, but it was a major thing this last week. So we've got a new mayor in Lincolnshire now, and I think she's going to do an all right job. I really do. I think what did she say this week about put them back in tents like they do in France?
Well, they need to come here because we've got about 40 or 50 in the auction this week.
What, 40 or 50 tents?
Yeah.
Not a problem. We might
do a deal on them.
We might be able to get one of these government contracts. We can supply you tents for the next 5 years, not a problem.
No poles.
Sleeping bags, yeah, there may be the odd bit missing. Anyway, listen, let's not talk about politics too much. Let's talk about last week's auction before we talk about today's subject. But last week's auction, well, it was what we expected.
Yeah, we had double whammy, didn't we, with the football and the bank holiday?
Yeah, the normal bank holiday thing at Prestige Auctions is, are we going to get the people through the door? To a degree, I think we did get the people through the door. Commissions were there.
Yeah.
But
great buyers week.
Oh, bums on seats, though, was a struggle, wasn't it?
Bought a lot of stuff quite cheap this week.
Yeah, did you buy out good?
Yeah, the tools again. Look, filled it with tools. Got that nice multi-drawer cabinet thingy for 20 quid. And I normally wouldn't have. I only put a cheeky bid on that because I could see it was quiet.
Yeah. What did I buy? I bought a few bits. A few odds and sods, nothing exciting. I think I bought the bag another week, but who knows?
What was that?
£205 coins for £61.
Oh, what happened there?
Well, I just looked to the room, I looked to the book, I looked to the room, I said it again. I emphasised the fact there was 205, nobody bid, job done. Now, here's the problem with them. So there was £205 coins, but they all had damage. Basically, the rules with the banks are, this is worth knowing, everybody. So when it comes to old coinage, you can take it back to the banks. Yeah, that goes for pre-decimal as well. People believe you can't, but I've taken pre-decimal back. Yeah. You can take pre-decimal back. Of course, decimalisation stuff you can take back as well. But one of the things they do stipulate is if there's damage, it needs to be sent off. And each one of those pound coins had damage.
Right.
So I send them off. I have no issue with sending them off. You know, it's just a bit of a no-brainer. And I think it's because you can't just hand them in over the post office counter or whatever. That it kind of put people off. And that, you know, that's the way it is. It's the way that's auctions.
That's what was that, an easy £120 profit?
Well, I would have gone to 120 on them.
Yeah.
And got them at 61 with a bid over 60. And
but look at the silver this week. Kind of like had to light a fire under the bidders to get the silver going.
Yeah,
that was hard.
It was a strange one because, you know, one of the things that I do as an auctioneer, and somebody was talking about this on Sunday morning, is that I do try and prompt people. I will say things like, you know, come on guys, you can get this sold, you can do this, you can do that, you can do the other.
I'll have it myself.
You what?
I'll have it myself.
Yeah. And you get all these blank looks as if to say, here, like that.
Here you go.
He's only saying that because he wants to sell it.
Yeah, salesman.
I'm not. I just want you to buy it. I want you to make some money. I want you to go away from prestige auctions, making a few quid and going, I want to go back there again.
Don't you find though sometimes that the more you kind of like, the more you push it, the harder it gets to sell it.
Yeah.
There's like a resistance like kicks in then, isn't there? Like,
Well, the amount of times we've done it in the past where I've bought items and then gone out my way to prove a point by selling it the next week and then showing them how much profit I've made. But some people can't be bothered, and so I was chatting to a guy known in this industry, a guy called Paul Gould this week, and he said to me that when we was talking about last week's subject about auction rooms buying stuff, that I contradicted myself. I don't agree, Paul, that I did, because we've discussed this, haven't we, just beforehand? And what we actually said was, when you are pushed into the corner by a vendor where they say, look, if you don't buy the stuff off me, I won't deal with you. That's the only time that we would ever do that. But I do want to say a big happy birthday to Paul. It's his birthday this week.
70.
I don't think he's as young as 70. I think he's sort of 74, 75, something like that. He just looks a lot older.
Think it's a wig?
Do you think it's a wig? There you go, Paul. You got your mention. Anyway, moving on to the auction once again. There was, they say there was very little bums on seats this week, but again, from a buyer's perspective, that's the time to be stood in that auction room for the duration of the auction. The auction was done for 5 to 3. When you should be stood there with your paddle in your hand, waiting for them bargain boxes to come up, to get your hand in the air, pick it off. I think there was probably 6 of our regular buyers that didn't turn up this week.
Yeah.
For whatever reasons, all the commitments and things. Obviously Grimsby Town were playing. There was lots of reasons why people weren't at prestige auctions, but they're the weeks.
Miss other weeks. These are the weeks to come.
Yeah.
A bank holiday weekend, football, big event. Those are the ones that get to.
They are, and the other thing is as well, Chris, is that when you become a sort of a seasoned buyer, you know that the weeks when there's no star lots in, when there's no exciting lots, that so
coming over up the average.
I'll quote a couple of people that say things in our auction which do make me laugh.
Oi, oi, oi.
You haven't got a lot in this week. What, 1,300 lots is not a lot.
Yeah, we're down a bit.
Yeah, you haven't got a lot in this week when you're at 1,300 lots. That's a good one.
There's nothing for me.
Or there's nothing for me. So there's nothing for me this week in these 1,300 lots with 40 lots in each box and all the rest of it. Nothing for me. But as a buyer, that's the time to strike. That's the time to spend your extra time looking through them boxes, finding the little bits and bobs in there that are going to earn you a £5, are going to earn you £4, going to earn you £3, going to earn you a tenner. It's all
like, you know what I'm like on my bidding. I'm a mean hunter. I'm a proper mean bidder.
You can bid up when you need to.
Yeah, but in general I'm a real mean bidder. If someone's made 20 quid, you look at my sheet and I've got like a £5 down for it.
Yeah,
that's pretty normal.
Yeah, that is normal. Yeah.
Well, I'd put £22 plus next to my little piece of paper for the truck books. There's some boxes of truck books, and I got them at 4, 5, and 6 quid. And I thought I'd have a proper battle for them. So the big difference this week is the book buyers weren't in.
The thing is, and this is again another mistake by buyers. They come in and they just completely overlook books.
Yeah.
Now you think of in the auction room this week. I mean, I've just done the sneak peek video just now, and it's the first time I've walked around the room. I've been out all day on quotes. So, and I've looked and I've seen so many boxes of books, and I know in amongst them books there's going to be good books.
Yeah.
But the only way you're going to find them is to come in and look. Because when we go over the top or take a picture from above, a box of books can be that deep. The £100 book can be at the bottom. Who knows? I don't know. You've got a little bit of knowledge on books.
Very rarely fail on the box of books.
I just find it, quite surprising that in the times that we're in, that not more people are trying to get into a bit of buying and selling just to make that little bit of extra money. And one of the things that I talk about quite a lot is people being afraid of tax. So eBay and the other one, Vinted, and all the others, have done this thing recently where they've been asking people for the national insurance numbers and that. So what? So they've asked you for your national insurance number. Okay, so you've bought a box of books, it was £8, you've sold them for 15, you've made £7 profit. Okay, take your fees off it, for your envelopes, your time, God knows what else that you can, put against it. You end up making £3. Your tax liability on that is 60p. You've made £2.40. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think so many people are just like, oh my God, I've had an email that they've asked me for my national insurance number. Okay, well, pay tax. Pay tax.
Register as a sole trader.
Yeah.
Claim back some of your expenses from your household.
Yeah. The thing is,
I don't think you can do it, can you, without being a... I think you can claim against if you register as a sole trader or a...
Yeah. The thing is, our books have just gone in for this year, and I know we're going to pay a big chunk of tax, but that's the country we live in. You've got choices. You haven't got to live here, But ultimately, sometimes you've got to pay tax. It's one of them things. So, but don't be afraid of it, because they say it's 20% of profit, not 20% of everything.
Yeah.
They're not going to start delving into everything that you do, because just pay your tax. I pay enough for the bleeding thing. Pay your tax.
I live in a caravan, I don't pay any. Still one of my fellow caravan dwellers threw a bloody cooker at me today.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, I heard about that. Oh God, it's all the joys. People nicking off you. I mean, it's just, I want to get, when you get situations like that, there used to be a time in society where if you had something stood outside your premises, they would knock on your door.
Yeah, come in and ask about it.
And say, just seen that outside there, don't suppose it's available, is it? Can I have it? 9 times out of 10 it'll be a yes. But when you just pull up and just chuck it in the back of your van, and as if it... Anyway, but that's another story. So I don't think there's really much to talk about when it comes to the challenge today, is there?
We've had a couple of good sales.
Books again?
Yeah, £90 book out of a £4 box.
£90 book out
That's
of a
one
£4
book.
box.
I've got another 20 odd listed. Potential of doing 200 or 300 quid out of a box of books.
And this is it. I mean, I don't know of how many people that are out there that can just justify not bidding or not buying. Is it what is it? What is it with people? Is it laziness? Is it lack of knowledge? No, we do our damnedest on here on a week-to-week basis to try and tempt people into buying stuff. Not because we're trying to sell stuff for the auction. We naturally sell most of the stuff in the auction, but trying to teach people on how to make that bit of extra money.
And the people that do work quite hard at it are the same people who are coming back.
Yeah,
I think it's not easy. I think you've got a lot of people drop off, don't they?
Yeah.
They start and then they spent that, a big bill comes in, they spend that money, and rather than reinvesting it, you're kind of like, I've made 500 quid, but car insurance is up, service is here, bang, back down to spending £20 again.
It's the difference between spending and investing. Yeah, I was talking to Colin. He was on the podcast with us a few weeks ago, or with me a few weeks ago. Well, Colin's asked to come back on the podcast because he wants to show people what he's been doing.
Yeah,
he's going to do a bit. It's a bit of he's a financial guy. Yeah, he does finances for people, etc. So he wants to do a bit of a chat, show you what he's spent, what he's made, and he wants to kind of show. He's found something that he's enjoying as a little bit of fun, to just break the monotony of life up. Try something different, and that's what he's trying, and he's enjoying it. You can tell he's enjoying it because he's messaging me, he's texting me, he's talking about it, and I love to see that. I love to see people, and you know what? I probably won't forgive me for saying this, but he's not a young bloke. He's not an old bloke, but he's not a young bloke. So he found something, and he's thought, how many blokes get to 50, 55, yeah, and they think, do you know what? I'm going to start doing a bit of woodwork or something. And they'll set something up in the shed. They'll start making things. They might try and sell a few bits, whatever. People get to an age where they want to try new things.
Lose a couple of fingers, give it up.
Yeah, set fire to your shed like I did. But they want to try new things, so why not try buying and selling?
We've started tennis.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're playing tennis.
are you and Kimbo?
Kim, Jenny, Adrian.
I can play tennis.
Every time the ball goes out the court, we have a shot. Jack Daniels.
Oh, Jesus
It's Jack
Christ.
Daniels tennis.
I can't play that.
You
I could
can.
play tennis with you, but I can't do the drinking. Can I have a Pepsi Max? And my game will probably stay on target. Yours won't. But back to Col. So Colin's coming in. He was, and I was having this conversation with him on Sunday morning in here about the difference between spending and investing. And I said it straight away. I went, Lisa spends, I invest.
Yeah.
What's the difference? Well, the difference is if you go and buy a can of Coke, you've spent £1.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you go and buy a couple of collectible stamps for your £1, you've invested £1, because you're going to at least get some of that money back. Maybe not all of it, maybe a bit more, maybe you'll break even. Spending money is what Lisa does. Lisa does it quite, and Lisa, I'm going to give Lisa a due. She's bloody good at it. Right? She is like an expert. She can spend money like,
Without trying.
yeah. I mean, especially on grandchildren. That's a big weakness of hers. Grandchildren and children, of course, still.
Oh, that's where I do all right.
So yeah, you've been all right there. But I just I like to know that when I spend my pounds, they're kind of being invested for
There's
the
two
future.
coming back.
Yeah, well, that would be a nice thought.
Yeah.
But I love it, and I think if anybody can get into that mindset, then there's just
a lot of people get hooked when they start getting that kind of like that big return. When you hit on something good.
Look, this industry is like taking drugs.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. It's like taking drugs. After a while, a joint don't work. You need something bigger. You need something better. And that's what I'm not saying you should take drugs, anybody. So I think it's a bad idea, but it's that hit. Once you get in them, you're buying the £3 boxes or £4 boxes these days, and you're returning £6, £7. That feels nice at the start, but that novelty soon wears off. But if you've saved that money, if you've invested it, and then you can start buying the bigger items and making the bigger money.
You're moving up the lane, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I mean, look, you can see why so many people get addicted to gambling, because this industry is gambling. It is gambling. But the difference is you're gambling with knowledge. Anyway, this week's subject, I want to talk about trying to convince people something's not worth what they think it is. Now, we see this quite a lot at the door. I see it quite a lot on house clearance quotes. So when they present an item to you, at the door it might be about, I want a particular reserve on it.
Mm.
At a house, they talk everything up. Here's my favourite. It's from Lee's. I hear it constantly that it's from Lee's. Well, Mum, because Lee's, I'm not disrespecting Lee's. Lee's is a very well old established quality furniture in Grimsby. But just because somebody spent £3,000 on a cabinet doesn't mean that it's worth £2,000 25 years later.
Not winning.
There's lots of money to be made from older stuff, but not just buying it from a particular place. It's almost like saying I bought it from Harrods. And we've had that as well. Oh, Mum used to live in Kensington. She used to shop at Harrods a lot. So a lot of this stuff came from Harrods. Okay.
Grimsby's full of stuff from Harrods.
If you bought a bottle of Aramis in 1980 in Harrods, you probably paid £30 more for it in Harrods than you would have done in Boots.
Yeah,
it's still a bottle of Aramis.
Yeah.
And this is the thing you have to try and get through to people, and it can be hard because you're dealing with emotion. So, Mum only ever bought the best of the best. Okay, it's nice that she was in that position and she could do that, but now you want somebody else to pay for it. And the thing is, When you look at, dark wood furniture,
Cappa di Monte.
dark wood furniture, I mean, is the bane of my life. I've done 4 quotes this morning. 2 of them couldn't do anything with dark wood furniture.
Yeah.
And I got it this morning. I didn't get Lee's or AB's. I got that cost £500 20 years ago. Okay. What do you think it's worth now then? So I push it back to him. What do you think it's worth now? Well, I think I should get 100 for it. But you won't.
It's going in the smashing room.
Yeah, it's gonna end up. And the thing is, supply and demand plays the biggest part, because if there's nobody wanting to buy the stuff, it's particularly dark wood furniture. I mean, we went through sort of a phase for a few years where people were, doing chalk painting and shabby chicing and this, where they'd buy the old dark wood furniture, but that's gone.
Yeah, it's unsellable. That. So if you go into the antique centres, and half of them are full of this painted furniture, and it's been there for years.
Or there's, in the antique centres at Hemswell, particularly if you go in sort of number 1 guard room and stuff like that, there's only half of it that's an antique centre, and the other half's a museum. Because them same pieces stay in there week on week on week on week, and you go in a year later and them same pieces are still there.
Yeah.
So at what point do you stop being a trader and just become a collector? But trying to convince people that, and it's hard, that the stuff's not worth what it is. It's so much easier dealing with the people that don't know what they've got when they come in and they go, yeah, we can sell all that for you. And then the 2 weeks on time when they're coming on a Friday to pick the money up, they're like, oh my God. And, and breaking down in tears. We've had that happen. And, we sold a stamp collection for a chap once in here at Prestige. And he had some American stamps, and they'd found them in the attic at a granddad's house or whatever, and when he'd passed away, thought they were crap. Somebody had said Teckens Prestige, and they ended up with like £2,500 or whatever it was. And the guy broke down in tears to Lisa and said, my God, I can't believe, he had his missus with him, or his girlfriend, fiance. And he said, we've been doing whatever we can to try and save some money for a wedding, and we thought it was going to be a year or so away, and that's just given us the money to do that. It affected his life. I mean, that is affecting somebody's life. They thought they had a pile of crap in front of them and they made good money. But they're not the ones we're talking about. The ones we're talking about is those ones that need to be convinced that, and anybody that watches into this podcast that understands the trade, they know exactly what I'm talking about. And there'll be lots of people sat there going, yeah, I know what he's on about there. Yeah, trying to convince people, the guy that brought all the gold sovereigns to me, I think I must have told this story before. I don't even know if I told it on a podcast. A guy brought a load of gold sovereigns and came in with his carer. He'd been buying gold sovereigns, thought they were a great investment. Carer comes in, says, well, he's in a situation where he's got to move out of wherever he's at. He needs to get some money together as a deposit. And so he needs to liquidate these sovereigns. Okay, well, how much do you think they're worth? Well, about £3,800 they were worth at the time. That was at full scrap. And he went, don't talk ridiculous to me. And I'm like, why am I talking ridiculous? These are an investment. I bought these and I paid £600 each for them. At the time, a sovereign was probably scrapping at about £300. And I paid £600 each for them. I went, off who? He went, off the Royal Mint. I went, so you've paid retail money for them with a nice wooden box and all the rest of it. There's a proof stamp, whatever. I said, but what you've actually got there in each sovereign is 8 grams of 22 karat gold, which is worth X. Yes, there may be some premium to be had on it as a coin if you can find the buyers for it. Anyway,
they ever want to pay scrap from though, won't they? Of
course they do. And then scrap less premium as well. So anyway, at that point, he told me I didn't know what I was talking about, and walked out, and the carer was behind him. Anyway, a couple of days later, the carer came in, And she just said, "Oh, I just want to apologise on behalf of this chap, and he's in a bad situation, and he wouldn't come in himself. He was too embarrassed." And why she went, "Well, we went to 3 other places, and they all told us the same thing." And I said, "What you got to do?" I said, "You've got to make him understand that what he should have done is started buying them from auctions and second-hand shops, and that way he got them close to spot price." But he paid the premium, and the thing is, he was already probably in his late 70s. He wasn't going to live long enough to watch the premiums. Maybe he would have done, because obviously gold prices spiked, but because that was in the time we'd been here.
But not enough.
But not enough.
No.
And you get it at the door when people. I had it the other week. Some lady came to the door, bringing in as a private individual, and she was going, well, she was telling the lads on the door, I want this reserve, that reserve, the other reserve, and they thought there was a bit much, so they come and grab me. I went to the door, can't take that reserve on that. Why not? Well, because it won't make it. Well, I paid, and it's always that I paid. You can't have that mentality when you come to sell something. Something is worth what somebody's prepared to pay. There are no givens. I mean, this whole industry is based on opinions.
They must have been watching some of the auctions of ours on Facebook when they've seen us sell £9.99 B&M item for 15-20 quid. You must think we're working some kind of juju magic here or something. We can sell everything at twice the retail cost.
I had a clearance quote I went on the other week, and we pretty much agreed that they was going to use us. But then the person rang me after watching one of our auctions on the Saturday, and that week where nothing was making money.
Yeah.
It was just when she went, I'm a bit concerned. I said, well, what are you concerned about? I went, all the stuff in your house is good quality. The stuff that you watch sell wasn't. There's the difference. If you put, remember, an auction is an auction, so lots of people are going to view it. If you put a piece of, I don't know, a piece of silver down, and that weighs in at £10, it's whoever's going to pay the most for it. Everyone's going to pay something for it because everyone knows it's worth something. So, but if you put something down there that's just not that exciting, no one's going to want to bid on it. And I said, the sort of stuff you've got are good pieces. They'll have lots of interest. I said, you can't just look at an auction. You can only compare eggs with eggs. I said, you were comparing stuff that you haven't got with what you've got.
This is when they take some of the good stuff out, and then it doesn't help the other stuff along, isn't it?
People do.
Just cherry pick the good stuff, and then all you get left with is the average, and nobody's that bothered.
There's another one that gets me, and you must have seen this. Somebody buys a box in the auction for one item, takes the item and leaves the box.
We've had that a lot recently.
Yeah, that gets people bad, that.
We've had that
or what I tend to do, and I'm doing one this week actually, when somebody walks in the next week to bid, and I go, oh, pleased you're here, this is yours. Oh, I didn't want it. Well, neither do we. We're not going to pay for your tipping. Now you've taken the value out of the box.
One item.
People don't understand. They just don't understand. But I need to, the reason we do these things is we're trying to get through to people that, we, as an auction room, you want to get the most money you can for everything. But
I don't know with insurance to cover this. I don't know if it's possible to even do. But it'd be quite good for some people who've not been involved in what happens on this side of the auction room. Come and spend a day.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got no problem with that. But someone was just telling Lisa the other day, there's some sort of scheme you can do with the police where you can spend a day with the police,
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be quite good. I mean, come and spend a day at Prestige Auctions. And, especially on a Monday. I think people would be quite surprised just how hectic it is, or on a viewing day, on a viewing day when we're doing valuations. People's expectation of stuff, I would say, on the whole, is not that bad. What I tend to hear most of the time is, it's got to go, that's why it's here. And you do hear that a lot, but you then do get the other person that comes in and goes, well, it was my dad's and my dad loved it. Okay, but that doesn't alter the value.
Yeah.
You know, as much as I would like it to. And we are here, you know, auctioneers are here to work for the seller, not for the buyer. The buyer, we've got to try and sell it for as much money as we can. But so be realistic, everyone. You know, just don't beat the auctioneer up every time he tells you. I think they mix auctioneers up with dealers. A dealer tells you everything that's wrong with it because he wants it at the lowest price. An auctioneer, a good auctioneer like me, would tell you what it's worth because they want you to be realistic about it. I mean, ultimately, I want everything to be worth thousands. We earn more commission that way.
We want people to make money because that's what keeps them coming back. If you're making money out of buying, you're coming back to buy more, aren't you?
Of course you are. And, you know, most people do come back week on week on week. And but somebody I know went to Morrison's boot sale this morning. They came out and said nothing worth buying on there.
Yeah, I didn't go this week, but there's been a lot of traders on, and I've seen the same stuff on their stalls at Morrison's when it used to be on at the Pennells.
Yeah.
Especially last year, I used to go round and round and round, and they used to cart the same stuff to each car boot sale, thinking it was going to be selling for what they're asking for it.
The thing is, as well, most boot sales, the same people walk around them week on week.
Yeah.
So, to my mind, if you've taken it there once, then take it to the tip.
Yeah.
When we first opened Prestige, Chris, in the very early days, we used to get people, because we didn't used to have a booking system back then, because it wasn't as busy, but people would come down to the auction room on a Monday morning with all the stuff they didn't sell at the boot sale.
Yeah.
And I remember just standing there, because we took it in for a while, and after a while I'd just stand there and say, you got prices all of that, you had it at the boot sale? Yeah, couldn't sell it. Well, why do you think we can then?
Yeah.
You know,
It's
and
not
then, they'd ask for
ground, is it?
reserves on it. It come from Lee's. It's the whole thing can be quite tricky sometimes. But hey,
there's an art in gently telling somebody what it's really worth, isn't there? There is an art in that.
There is. I mean, you know, you've got. I'd say to everyone on quotes, look, I want to make you as much money as I possibly can. But
being realistic.
You know, if I'm being honest with you, Chris, I think the bulk of the people that I speak to on clearance quotes aren't that bothered. They know they've got to get the property.
Yeah, it's the money's in the real estate, isn't it?
Yeah, and if
what's in it is a problem.
Yeah, it's in their way of selling the property, and they think to themselves, well, and this sort of goes back onto what I was talking about last week about, you know, other people that are doing the same industry, house clearance and that, but they're going to charge you, maybe knock you a few quid off for a few bits in there, but we're working on your behalf. So, you know, if you do 1,000 quid in the auction and your bill's only 600 quid, you're getting the rest. And a lot of people, I mean, I spoke to a lady this week when I was doing payouts for clearances. We cleared a house in Humberston for her, and she ended up owing us £69. And I hate having to tell people they owe us money, because you feel like you haven't succeeded. But sometimes it's just they're never going to cover costs. There's not enough there. And I rang her up and I said, oh, you owe us £69. She went, oh, brilliant. She was over the moon. She went, I was expecting a bill, she said, for about 700 or 800 quid. She went, that's brilliant. Give me your bank details. Paid me in 10 minutes. You know, £69. But she got the property cleared. It sold. She needed it out of the way.
Yeah.
And you know, and that's when the job comes good. Well, we put an appeal out last week asking for people what wanted to talk about. Leave us some comments. Nobody. One person commented on last week's.
I bet it was Keir Starmer, wasn't it?
It was Larry. Larry was sat in the Premier Inn in Cleethorpes.
Larry don't miss a thing.
He don't. He doesn't. I mean, Larry can take watches off and that without you even knowing.
I know. Yeah. I don't bring my wallet to work anymore. I just lock it in the car.
Right-fingered Larry.
So Larry's in the hotel near
He was
where we are.
he was in the Premier Inn last week. Yeah, he stayed over the night, and he was sat in the pub having a pint, watching the podcast.
If you're watching, Larry,
He will be.
I'll give him my number. Imagine he's got me on Facebook. Send us a message. We'll go for a pint in Buckets.
Yeah,
It's like 2 minutes up the road. I'll come and show you my caravan.
yeah, Larry. So there you go. Open invite to go and have a drink with Chris. But
Swimming pool's there. Bring your budgie smugglers.
But it's good. It's good to know that people are watching the stuff that we're sharing
He'd
out
love
there.
the show bar, wouldn't he?
I would, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because he's from Doncaster,
Yeah.
isn't he? He's another Yorkshire lad.
Yeah. It's full of them.
What, Larry's?
Show bar.
Oh, what Larry's?
Yeah, there's a few. He could do a song because he can sing, Larry.
Can he?
Well, he's told me he can.
Yeah, well, that's we'll have to get the
There's karaoke night.
Get the karaoke out for him
Yeah.
again.
Prize karaoke.
Prize karaoke.
Yeah.
Wow. What was I going to say then? I don't know. Anyway, it is what it is. So yeah, get yourself down to see Chris, Larry.
Come and have a pint with us, Larry.
We do need to get people to come on. There's, like I said, there's 1 or 2 people I want to get on. Colin's asked to come on again, so we can do that one week. And here we go. We're going to put this out there to everybody now because it's a podcast. I'm not supposed to be really facing the camera, but we're going to put it out there. So we are trying to arrange a live podcast with a Prestige team, aren't we? We've just been talking about it today.
Wrong?
So there'll be me, Lisa, Tom, Chris, Shingles. We're going to try and get as many of
George.
the team round the table in here as possible, and get somebody to film it and somebody to sit at the editing suite behind, and we're going to do a live podcast. So we're hoping to do that. What we'll do is I'll probably bribe them all with pizzas and beer, and well, that'll get most of them here, won't it?
That's all we work for.
So what do you think? If you think that's a good idea, then leave us a message in the comments. Would you like to see a live podcast with the Prestige team where you can ask us the questions and see where we go with it?
Could be any questions.
It can. I've just ordered 2 table mics actually, so we're going to have table mics on here, the bigger ones like we have on over there. So we won't need to have these on.
Need some more chairs.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be good. Anyway, challenge. Let's have a quick look. So I'm going to tell us first. So Carl and Brandon last week was on £410. This week they're on £410. Why? Well, I didn't get the stuff handed over to Brandon for the selling until this last week. So I couldn't see the point of overloading him with gear, so I didn't spend anything this week. So we're still on £410 plus stock. Lisa.
It's at 161. They've come down. I think it was 175 last week, down to 161 because they bought quite a bit of stuff.
They bought a few bits in the auction on Saturday, didn't they?
Yeah,
and
they
I think
did,
they bought quite well. Well, that will remain to be seen, but they're still on. They're still struggling to get into them bigger figures, aren't they? But there's a long way to go yet. Anyway, Mr. Mitchell, what's happened to yours?
We're on 1480. So
1480. I mean, that's probably one ticket on the cruise. Not bad,
Mine.
is it? Yours. So what does Jenny think to that fact that could just be your ticket?
I think that's probably Jenny's ticket.
Yeah, I think you're
We've both sold quite a bit of stuff actually. It's fairly even on what we've sold.
You're gonna smash it anyway, aren't you?
We should get there on that. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that I'm gonna as well because I've got a little bit of a plan. So here we are. We're in May already.
Yeah.
May, June, July, August, September. So we've got about halfway through.
It's the Christmas auction.
Yeah.
Pretty much when we're on the year.
So, but we are going to stop.
Still no word.
No.
I'm very quiet.
Well, John, my friend out of town, he's been having a chat with me, sending me a few emails and that, and he keeps giving me Jane McDonald updates. So, but still no news from them. But you never know. And thanks, John, for sending those few pictures over. It was nice to see them things. But anyway, he knows what I'm talking about.
Might have to change that for something more realistic.
Like what?
Pamela Anderson or something like that. More chance of her winning now, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think with this though, when it comes to this, we said, didn't we, around sort of September, October time, we're going to stop telling people
Yes.
how much we've got up to, what we're doing, and then we are going to just announce when we've booked the holiday where we're all going.
Yeah, we'll have a holiday reveal.
Or we may just make it even more interesting and actually wait till we're on the holiday we're on and then put a video
Guess
out.
where we are.
So there you go, everybody. That's the challenge for you this week. Well, I can't really think of much more to talk about for this week. Anything for you, Chris? Because my friend Paul says that I don't let you get a word in edgeways. So over to you. Take the lead.
I ain't got a lot going on. I've just got me buying and selling and me caravan life.
But you're loving it, aren't you?
Yeah, well, it's very rare I'm sober beyond 4 o'clock, so I can't tend to remember much beyond that point.
But we've got a bit of a video going on, which I think we could do maybe a bit of a podcast or maybe a separate video over this. Can't say too much about it at the moment, but we was out on Wednesday or Thursday this week, wasn't we, doing something? Which we did some filming, didn't we?
We did.
We did. Can't talk about it too much at the minute, but that's going to be another video coming your way. And
have we got? I see. I'm supposed to be doing me advert reenactments from the 1980s.
Yeah, we need to do something. We need to do something. We're going to be after me to do a boot sale soon.
I've got no stock.
You got no boot sale stock?
I'll keep selling it all.
I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll do a not sold challenge.
Well, that'd be better.
We've just got to go through the not solds, fill the car up on the Saturday, take it to a boot sale, and see what we can sell.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
That'd be far better.
That'll be a laugh, won't it? Selling crap.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, not sold challenge.
Yeah. What do you think to that? That sounds like a plan, actually.
Yeah.
Or if anyone wants to donate anything, so the next thing we want to purchase. I mean, everyone was great at Prestige, and this I love about our community at Prestige is that we chucked some money in as well, but we got the defib last time. One of the things we would like to buy here, which just doesn't, the budget just doesn't stretch to it, is a music license. You say it a lot, don't you? It'd be a lot nicer if we could have a music license. So
yeah,
we might have to do something to raise some money for that. Whether it be some name cards or a raffle or whatever.
Yeah.
But if any of you guys want to donate anything to our boot sale challenge, that could be a laugh. We'll do a boot sale challenge, and we could put some of the money towards the.
We ought to put it towards that, didn't we?
To the music license.
We daren't put any music on.
No.
Somebody's listening.
Yeah, we can't put music on.
Yeah.
We went to the Player of the Year Awards on Monday night, didn't we, at Grimsby Town?
Yeah.
You quite enjoyed it, you said?
I did, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty good.
And we're probably going to be doing something a little bit different there because I've also purchased a table for 10 for Stuart Pearce at McMenamin's in October. So there's going to be maybe some sort of competition going out to, if you want to come and join the Prestige team there.
That's a pretty good prize, that one, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a VIP table for 10 with a meal and all sorts. So we'll maybe be doing some sort of competition later on in the year for two of you to come and join the Prestige team and on the table.
But the two lads who were sat with us, brilliant.
What, the Grimsby Town lads? Yeah, absolutely. Cameron and Curtis, wasn't it?
Yeah, real young but real smart.
Yeah, real nice lads. I've got to say that McMenamin's did a good job, and I think the manager did a good talk. He's a very straight talking guy, isn't he, at Grimsby Town? And maybe, just maybe, we might just do a corporate night one night next year.
I love that thing about front room carpet.
Well, that was that chap, didn't he? He said to me, he says, anyone got any questions? And this guy put his hand up. He said, we've done this, we've done that. Everything's looking good. What's going on with the pitch? Because the pitch is a little bit... I didn't think the pitch looked that bad, to be fair. I've seen Blunder Park's pitch look a lot worse than that. And Artel turned around to him and said, you got brand new carpets throughout your house then? The answer's no, isn't it?
No.
You use what you got.
And then he went for him a bit, really, didn't he?
Well, yeah, and he said, it makes it a bit harder to pass it around than that. He went, Swindon did all right when they beat us 3 or 4-0 the other week. Anyway, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you ever so much for watching Prestige Auctions, all things auction, the podcast. If you've got any ideas of what you want to hear us talking about, or some of the things you want to see us doing, then do put them down in the comments below. If you have enjoyed this podcast, then give it a thumbs up, hit the notification bell, and subscribe to the channel. That will tell you all the times we're putting stuff out on social media, or especially on YouTube. And so until next week, say goodbye, Chris.
Goodbye, Chris.
We'll see you all again very soon at the auction.